What's up? I wanted to make another fight announcement reaction video, so I thought, you know what, there's been a lot of big fights announced this week, including Derek Brunson versus Dricus Du Plessis. We've got Sean Brady versus Michel Pereira. We've got Alex Perez versus Kape. And we also have, a lot earlier this week, Marlon Vera versus Cory Sandhagen, which is a massive matchup in the bantamweight division. And I wanted to talk about all of them because I do have some very strong opinions on some of these matchups. We're going to start straight away with Derek Brunson versus Dricus Du Plessis in the middleweight division. This has been added to the card of UFC 285 on March the 4th. This is a big matchup. First of all, respect to Dricus Du Plessis. He's getting right back in there. He just fought against Darren Till. It wasn't an easy fight for him either. He did take some damage in that fight, but he's getting right back in there against another top-level middleweight in Derek Brunson. I know he was looking for fights like Paulo Costa, but I think he's realizing, hey, Paulo Costa is probably not going to say yes to me immediately. There's going to probably be some kind of issue with him and the UFC. So now he's looking for Derek Brunson in the middleweight division. This is a big matchup for him to get right into the top 5. And I like this no-nonsense attitude from fighters, man. I do. When they're just no nonsense, give me the next guy. I'm getting right back in there 3 months later. Respect. You know what I mean? Like, normally after a win in December, you're going to want to have some time over Christmas and New Year's to relax, but he's getting right back to work. And I think he's going to win this one, in all honesty, because Derek Brunson, age is not on his side right now, man. It just really isn't. So I am going to go with Dricus Du Plessis getting himself a KO here, because he can push through exhaustion better than I believe Brunson can. And I also believe that Derek Brunson is not going to be able to, one, finish Dricus Du Plessis on the grappling department of the fight. He might be able to get a takedown on Dricus. It's going to be dangerous to go for it because Dricus does have some really, really good guillotines and stuff like that. But yeah, Derek Brunson, age is not on his side right now, and he always seems to get tired. And I think if he gets tired against a guy like Dricus, who we saw was throwing heat with his punches in round 3 against Brad Tavares, I reckon he's going to be able to catch Derek Brunson on the chin, who is now 38 years of age. He hasn't fought since February of 2022. He's now coming back in March. That's going to be a year and a month off. He was supposed to fight Jack Hermansson in December, but he got injured, so he's not even going to be in like peak condition here. He's recovering from an injury. He thinks he'll be ready. He thinks he'll be ready for March, and I just guess he's taking whoever they give him here. Whereas Dricus Du Plessis, no way he's fighting with an injury if he's turning around this quickly after his Darren Till fight. And I feel like he's got momentum right now, and he's going to be making improvements. He's a young fighter for the division. He's under 30, 28 years of age. I think he's dangerous for Derek Brunson, and he's got a solid chin. I don't see Brunson KOing him in the first round. I don't see Brunson submitting him in the first round. So I see Brunson eventually gassing out in rounds 2 or 3, either getting guillotined by Du Plessis, finished by ground and pound after a reversal from Du Plessis, who can really, really grapple himself, or getting finished on the feet in rounds 2 or 3 by Du Plessis. Very, very good matchup for Du Plessis, and a good matchup for the middleweight division as well, and a good matchup for UFC 285, which just needs those big fights added to the card, because 285 is looking good. 285 is looking really good, but it just doesn't really have the big ones confirmed yet. You know what I mean? We need Jones versus Ngannou on that card. That needs to be confirmed in order for that to be a solid card next year in March. But I'm thinking we're going to get those fights announced pretty soon. So far we have Du Plessis Brunson, Garbrandt versus Arce. That's about it. Farid Basharat's on the card, but yeah, this card's looking weak. We need a couple more to finish it off. Vivian Araújo, Amanda Ribas is pretty good. Bo Nickal's going to be on the card. That sort of covers the prelims. Now we're getting some big ones on the main card. So really looking forward to it. Really good fight. And I think Dricus Du Plessis gets it done. We move on up the card to another fight, which is, or not up the card. We move on to another fight that got announced, which is Sean Brady versus Michel Pereira. This is a big fight. UFC San Antonio, March 25th. Very big matchup. I was wondering why they didn't do Pereira versus Vicente Luque in Brazil. I thought that was a no-brainer, but listen, Sean Brady could win this one, but there's something about being KO'd by Bilal Muhammad that just makes me never believe in you ever again for any fight ever again. I'll be honest with you. There just is. You know what I mean? Like, fair play, you won all of those fights beforehand, and you did what you did against Michael Chiesa, barely scraping by a decision win. And he beat Jake Matthews, but Jake Matthews just lost to Matthew Semmelsberger more convincingly than Sean Brady was making it look, at least until he finished him in the third round with a submission. But in terms of, like, you know, clearness of a win, it was pretty similar. They were both competitive fights that both guys won. I don't know. I can't believe in Sean Brady anymore. I can't watch you get KO'd by Belal Muhammad and then believe in you to beat a guy like Michel Pereira, who's a massive guy for the division. Gonna have and also, am I wrong? But did Sean Brady look small? Really, really small against Belal Muhammad. He's looking to get back in there. I respect it. And obviously there is that chance that he's going to be able to stay on top position and just win this one and make it a snooze fest and eventually get his submission off. But, man, Sean Brady against certain opponents has had trouble finding his way into those dominant positions. And Chiesa's one of those fighters where he keeps making those mistakes, where he gives up his back. Michel Pereira is a massive guy for the division. Massive guy for the division. He's explosive. He can scramble. He's very dangerous on the feet as well. I think he'll win this fight as long as it does stay on the feet. I don't know who I'm going to pick on this one, but I'm feeling like Michel Pereira, in all honesty, because I don't know how committed Michael Chiesa even is to the game anymore. What's Michael Chiesa doing right now? I think he's injured. He's been out for like a year and stuff, and even before that, it was like, I mean, is he really serious about being a top contender? Like, I guess I'll go with Sean Brady here, but the odds that he does get chinned are pretty high because Michel Pereira is dangerous. He's massively improved recently. I am going to side with Sean Brady being able to find his way into dominant positions and win the grappling situation and making Michel Pereira very hesitant on the feet because he's worried about the grappling situations. But, man, he was literally doing good against Belal Muhammad, and then he took one clean punch, and it was like, oh, no, it's over for him. Belal Muhammad. You know what I mean? Like, Diego Lima, one of the worst chins in the history of the UFC, took everything Belal Muhammad had for him over 3 rounds. And he has one of the worst chins in existence. So it's worrying to me. But, you know what? We'll see what he does. I'm assuming that's going to be like the co-main event. I doubt it will be a main event. We'll see. But it's a good matchup in the welterweight division. And I'm glad these fights are getting made. So put it as the co-main event. Give us a good main event above it. And this will be a great fight. If Michel Pereira does well. If Sean Brady does what he wants, it's going to be a snooze fest. We move on to another fight which has been announced recently, which was Vera versus Sandhagen. This is a massive, massive matchup that I have a lot to say about. First of all, I think Sandhagen's going to win. And I'm going to get into why I think he's going to win. But I believe he's got this one. I do. Cheeto can get it done. But people acting like Cheeto TKO, Cheeto this, Cheeto wins this. Dude, first of all, he didn't finish Rob Font, did he? Like, that's all I'm going to say. So to bet on a Cheeto finish, we need to really take into consideration just how rare that is. Like, Marlon Vera does have finishing ability, but you look at the people that he is finishing. Rob Font took a whole bunch of damage against him. Fair play. And, like, he was tough to survive it, and he got knocked down in multiple rounds. But I'm just considering what happened in those fights. You know what I mean? Now, do I believe that Marlon Vera at some point in this fight with Sandhagen will drop him? Probably yes. But he didn't finish Rob Font. He was losing to Edgar the whole fight, and then he found the front kick at the end to save himself, pretty much. He didn't finish Davy Grant. You know what I mean? Lost to Aldo. Took to the 4th round to beat Dominic Cruz and was losing that fight and was getting outstruck on the feet. I just think Sandhagen is going to show him levels. And I think Sandhagen... Here's how I feel about this fight. Dominic Cruz was losing the Vera fight, or lost the Vera fight in general, because he got dropped on a few occasions, and he eventually got finished. And that's why he lost, okay? He was a little bit too obvious, and his footwork's not what it once was. And he lost that fight, even though he was teeing off on Marlon Vera. He was headhunting a little bit. Cory Sandhagen. And here's how I feel about it. Cory Sandhagen is tougher than Dominic Cruz, faster than Dominic Cruz, smarter than Dominic Cruz. He doesn't headhunt in this fight, and he won't do it for this fight. I can see him leg kicking Marlon Vera at range, body shotting Marlon Vera at range as well. Yeah, just tougher than Dominic Cruz. He'll approach the fight a lot smarter than Dominic Cruz because he has options to go to the legs and the body as well. Recently, he's been mixing in some takedowns, which usually do work against Marlon Vera. If you mix them in and make him a bit of a surprise, I think he could use that to his advantage at the ends of some of the rounds, like Edgar was doing, blasting those double legs out of nowhere. I'm going to side with Sandhagen. He hits harder than Cruz. You know, he's got better cardio over 5 rounds. He's going to be in better condition, less injuries. Like I've got this one going towards Cory Sandhagen, but man, can I see Marlon Vera dropping him out of nowhere in one of the later rounds. I will say this, if this was a 3-rounder, I'd have no problem in my mind picking Cory Sandhagen to win. The fact that it's a 5-rounder does make me worry because it's just like, I don't see him finishing Marlon Vera, and if he doesn't finish him, it just gives Marlon Vera all of the chance in the world to land some of those shots in the later rounds. But again, Font was able to tough out those shots and a bunch of ground and pound afterwards. I've seen Sandhagen dropped by Yan with like a spinning attack combo and still find his way back into that fight and make it competitive later on. Do I think that Marlon Vera is going to drop Cory Sandhagen 3 times to win himself a decision? I just don't. I was watching a lot of Cory Sandhagen fights recently. I watched his one against Marlon Moraes. And I know it was Marlon Moraes, but the way he looked early on, chopping at the legs and going to the body, is just like, it was a very, very impressive performance. I don't think Vera has what it takes to mix in takedowns like Dillashaw did, or go to the legs like Dillashaw did. I think it's going to be a Cory Sandhagen picking apart Marlon Vera waiting for his big moments where he can catch him. But I just don't see him catching Cory Sandhagen as many times as he does other opponents. And I think if he doesn't, that's going to be a Cory Sandhagen decision win against Marlon Vera. I believe in him. Vera's not going to have too much of a reach advantage here. Half an inch of reach. And again, yeah, Cory Sandhagen, like he goes for front kicks to the body. Body shots in general. That'll start lowering the guard of Marlon Vera. Font is a headhunter of a guy. Dominic Cruz is a headhunter of a guy. Whereas Sandhagen will chop the legs and go to the body and mix in a takedown offensively. Like, it's a bit different with him. So, yeah, I'm going to side with Cory Sandhagen. One thing I do want to talk about with this matchup is, if Marlon Vera wins, he deserves the title shot over Sean O'Malley. He does. It's as simple as that. Like, there's no question about it. Like, if Marlon Vera beats Cory Sandhagen, finishes him, or wins a decision, and they've made Aljo versus Cejudo, or they haven't made Aljo versus Cejudo and Aljo's just looking for a contender in like June or July, make Marlon Vera get the title shot over Sean O'Malley, because guess what? If he wins, he should be ranked number 1. Sean O'Malley got ranked number 1 for beating Petr Yan. Marlon Vera is ranked, what, number 4, I believe, in the bantamweight division. If he wins this against number 5 Sandhagen, and by the way, does it clearly, that's a very impressive win. And he should move right up to number 1, and O'Malley should go down to number 2, in my opinion. So, yeah, I think he should get a title shot here. And I think that's what he's sort of banking on. He's like, there's a lot of uncertainty right now in the bantamweight division. Aljo, we don't know who he's fighting. He might fight Cejudo, and that's going to leave a bit of time for me to get this fight in. And then if I win, have an undeniable shot at the title. But I just can see the UFC making everyone hate them yet again, and just giving O'Malley a title shot in that circumstance. But yeah, good fight. Great for the Apex as well. I love watching Vera in the Apex. Sandhagen, bantamweight main events are always good. So I wish it wasn't in the Apex, but whatever. At least it's a good main event for the Apex. Normally we get sort of like left out to dry with those cards. And yeah, it's a good card so far. We got OSP Lins, Gerald Mearshart, Abbas Magomedov, Clayton Carpenter's on the card, Joe Selecki, Benoit Saint Denis, William Knight, Marcin Prachnio, Taylor Santos, Erin Blanchfield, Jim Miller versus Gabriel Benitez. We got some good fights on that card. So good stuff. I just think Cory Sandhagen is going to do enough to beat Marlon Vera in that matchup. Tough fight for him, but again, Cruz was on his way to winning, kind of. I know he was getting dropped, but he was winning like 80% of that fight and then got caught. Sandhagen's got better footwork. He just does. Cruz's footwork, like, it was unique when he first started doing it, but then people started figuring it out a bit much, and he doesn't feint much either, and he can't feint much because he only throws punches. So I feel like Sandhagen's got this. Tougher than Cruz, faster than Cruz, more powerful than Cruz as well. More investment based with his leg kicks and his body shots. He'll mix in offensive takedowns and be a bit safer at doing so against Marlon Vera than Cruz would. I've got Cory Sandhagen winning. And he's still young, too. He's still young. And Vera keeps taking damage. And I know Sandhagen took a bit of damage against Song Yadong as well, but you could argue Sandhagen looked better against Song Yadong than Marlon Vera did. I know it was a better version of Song Yadong. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. But, yeah, really good matchup. We've got a few other fights that have been made recently. I'm just going to find some of them right now. AJ Fletcher's stepping into fight Themba Gorimbo. Looking forward to Gorimbo's debut. AJ Fletcher's been a bit of a letdown recently, but I think he can get that one done. We got Shane Young, Blake Builder. I've got Builder because it's Shane Young and he seems to make a habit of losing over and over again. And then we've got matchups such as Marcin Tybura versus Blagoy Ivanov, which is a really good matchup that I'm looking forward to. Very, very good matchup. That should be a good one. I'm going with Marcin Tybura there over Blagoy Ivanov. I think that's a great matchup for him with like the teeps to the body and some of the head kicks that he goes for as well. So I reckon he'll be able to win a decision over Blagoy Ivanov, which would be good. And then Erin Blanchfield, Taylor Santos. I disagree with this. I think this is a bad fight to make. I'll be honest with you. I think this is terrible. Way too soon for Erin Blanchfield. If she wins, it's good, but I just wish we would give these prospects a little bit of time to build themselves up in the division. Because if she wins, it's right away into Valentina Shevchenko, and it's just kind of annoying because, yeah, I wish we would actually build up a proper contender, but they might just get to the title prematurely and then Shevchenko beats him. But I guess if Blanchfield dominates Santos, there's an argument to say Blanchfield is going to dominate Shevchenko, seeing as Santos was able to out-grapple her. So we'll see how it goes. Good matchup, though. Looking forward to it. And we have Jake Hadley versus Malcolm Gordon. UFC 286, March 18th on the UK card. I got Jake Hadley winning that one, but Malcolm Gordon showed that he wasn't a joke. In his last fight against Makayev, he made it a little bit close. So we'll see how it goes. I've got Hadley winning. I think he'll be a little bit too strong and be able to get to the back. And he also looked really, really good on the feet in his last fight, melting that guy with body shots, pressure him forward. So I'm definitely going to go with Hadley there. But we also had another fight, Alex Perez, Manel Kape. I'm going with Manel Kape, to be honest with you. I think Alex Perez, I have no idea how he got ranked so high. I guess, didn't he beat Formiga with like a calf kick, with like a toe to the knee, that just made it so that Formiga couldn't even walk anymore in their fight? And I think he got chucked to the top a little bit too quickly, and because he's from the Contender Series, Dana White really wanted him to become a champion, so they gave him to Figueiredo, then they bounced him back against another top-level guy in like Pantoja or something. Like, he just kept getting top-ranked guys either pulling out of the fights or constantly getting rebooked against Royval again, and now he pulled out. So I reckon Manel Kape's going to do good. I mean, he did good against Pantoja in his debut, so I got Manel Kape winning this one by decision, but I reckon it'll be a fun scrap. We move on. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Toodle pip. I wanted to make one of these videos again. I had some thoughts about the matchups, and yeah, we'll see. Like the video. Goodbye.